Alright, so I played a game recently called Red Faction, and it's actually kind of an old game, so people might not know about it. Anyway, I've been on an old game spree, and one of the games I tried was Red Faction. It's pretty great. Sometimes it gets clunky with unnecessary stealth segments, but for the most part it's a very solid package. I can definitely see how it got the sequels. So, what is it about? The miners are oppressed, they have to fight for their rights, and... Okay, look, nobody cares, okay? I skipped through every cutscene and ignored whatever anyone says. I think that made me a bit more surprised as to where the game was going as well, which is actually a plus, strangely enough. What did I like? I've come to a conclusion that a lot of games during PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3 era ruined shooting. There are giant guns, extremely imprecise shooting, bullet sponge enemies, and annoying unnecessary UI. I specifically am talking about Red Faction 2 here. I didn't exactly see why was the first one so good until I played the second one. It felt like someone spread Vaseline on the screen and put binoculars on me and had me use the keyboard and mouse with mittens on. Red Faction 1 felt smooth, elegant, precise, and most of all enjoyable. It feels like a PC shooter and it feels good. I feel like a lot of games lost that for a while before finally things like Hard Reset showed up. So the point is that as a shooter, Red Faction is done well as a shooter game. Shooter. Yeah, I use that word a little too often. Aside from that, I also enjoyed the variety of weapons. Again, it seems like the consoles ruined this. There are more than 10 weapons here you can just pull out of your hat at any time. And frequently one of them is kind of garbage, but there is only so much ammo for a good gun, so you have to improvise. It was especially apparent once the mutants showed up. There's a small segment when the player is entering a secret lab and it's filled with a bunch of weird creatures with an awful AI. Those guys constantly got stuck on terrain, but they can still pack a punch. Since prior to that all enemies were other Yumis, the ammo was somewhat plentiful. These things don't use guns, so it can be very difficult to survive that part. I'm pretty sure I was on the last 3 or 4 shotgun shots and about 2 rockets left before I finally got some ammo again. It felt very nicely chaotic. Made me think and plan how I'm gonna use the guns. But after a while it's back to making it rain on them enemies. Also, another thing is breakable terrain. At one point there is a submarine the player has to steal. There are 2 ways to do so. One is getting inside the guard booth, which he refused to open, maybe it was a bug just for me, I don't know, or to climb up the magnet holding the sub and press the button up there. So you can blow up a wall in the guard booth. Even nowadays the game very rarely uses that kind of terrain blowing up. At best it's just some cover and nothing else, so I assume it must have been revolutionary when it came out. Problem is that it's very rare to have explosions be the solution. Frequently a small part of the wall blows up and there is nothing there. Rarely there is something worthwhile to waste explosives on. Thankfully they don't seem to be that great at dealing damage to enemies anyway, so player can be free to blow up walls. But I just could barely find anything. Maybe a total of 5 or 6 times in the entire game I found something I could blow up. And open another path or unlock something or just find some secret or something. So it's a bit underused and a bit too subtle. What did I dislike? The game is short. There's not much to say on that. Also the difficulty seemed to spike a lot. The early levels are obviously easier than the later ones, but the thing is, there's just too much all at once. Closer to the end there are more enemies, they are better placed, frequently being on the same perch and spread out, instead of standing in clusters in front of a door. Also the pickups for health and armor become extremely rare. Ammo is really common though. But the thing is that it was impossible to use that ammo because I died too fast. So it had to be very quick, precise shots which barely went through the magazine. Also there are stealth segments, which are god-awful. They are definitely more realistic than Crouch Till the End of Time we get now, but that doesn't make them fun. I got tired of stealthing and brute forced both times they appeared. There are only 10 pistol shots you get, so it was a bit of a struggle, but with some headshotting and replenishing the ammo from the fresh kills, it was more or less doable. Problem is that these segments take the ammo away, except for those few pistol shots, and never give it back. You never see the riot prod again, the shield barely appears again, and it's already irrelevant by that point. The explosives I've been hoarding vanish forever, and it just really sucks to get the fun toys taken away, all to give this very boring segment. So I know this is entirely irrelevant with so many new games coming out, but I enjoy taking out these oldies and finding gems. This was definitely one, a little rough, but I for sure enjoyed my time with it.